I'm finally back. I hope the holidays all went great for everyone. I hope everyone's looking to bring in 2014 with some style. Today I want to talk about some of the highest grossing films of this past year. Some of them are really disappointing. I'm gonna count down backwards, so we'll start with 15. The Heat. This movie took me by surprise. When I saw trailers for it, I thought it looked kind of terrible. Just looked raunchy and gross and with bad jokes. But actually seeing it, probably one of the funniest movies I've seen in my entire life. Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy on screen, hilarious. They're possibly two of the greatest people to interact on screen. They're so funny. I did not stop laughing for the entire movie. 14. The Croods. I have to admit, I didn't see this. It looked kind of good. There were a lot of good people in it. Tell me if it was good, because I don't know. 13. The Hobbit. Desolation of Smaug. Totally smog. Let's get real. I'm disappointed that this isn't higher. Granted, it just came out a few weeks ago, but it was so good. I loved it so much better than the first one. It's a little more disjointed, but I think a lot more happens than in the first one. The first one was a lot of fluff. Not that it wasn't awesome, but the second one was great. 12. World War Z. This movie. I loved it. It's nothing like the book. I know that bothered a lot of people, but sometimes you just have to distance yourself and just take it for what it is. A fantastic zombie movie. The zombies were terrifying, and they sprinted, and they made this really creepy noise, and I totally had nightmares. It was totally great. See, 11. Thor, The Dark World. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. Not the best Marvel movie, but it's certainly up there, and I'll take it, considering some of my thoughts on other Marvel movies that came out this year. We'll get to that later. Number 10. Star Trek Into Darkness. If you've watched my videos at all, you know that I have strong feelings about this movie. Negative, strong feelings. I'm not even going to talk about it because I'll get really mad. So go read my article. I'll link it in the description because I wrote a blog post on it, and I'm sure there's at least 2 other videos I talk about it. Or didn't like it. Number 9. Oz the Great and Powerful. I didn't see this. It looked a little weird. I can't really take James Franco seriously. I don't know. 8. Fast and Furious 6. I love Fast and Furious movies. I love them. I admit it. They're so good. I totally cried when Paul Walker died. I was very, very sad. The Fast and Furious movies are awesome. I don't care what anyone says. I love them so much. And Fast and Furious 6 was just genuinely a good movie. It had a fantastic plot, it had some amazing acting, and it had ridiculous writing just like all the rest, but it was so entertaining, and I think everyone needs to give Fast and the Furious a chance because it's wonderful. Not to mention it has some really badass female characters. Number 7. Frozen. I loved Frozen. I just saw it last week and I can't stop listening to the soundtrack. I don't usually do that with Disney movies. I love Disney soundtracks, but I don't usually actually listen to them outside the movie. It was beautiful, the story was pretty excellent, the characters were kind of amazing, it was hilarious. The minute Olaf gets on screen, the little snowman, you do not stop laughing for the remainder of the movie, even at the sad parts. That's brilliant! 6 and 5 are Gravity and Monsters University respectively, and I have to admit I saw neither even though I wanted to. They just came out at bad times when I was really busy, and I do want to see both of them. They both looked fabulous. I want to see them. Number 4, Man of Steel. I hated this movie. I didn't like it. I was very, very disappointed. The writing was terrible. It was a boring movie. Clark meets Lois and suddenly they're in love and they're standing in a field of sunshine at one point, and I don't think they had said 2 words to each other, but they're kissing and they're loving, and then the world is ending and Superman is fighting people for an hour and buildings are destroyed and there's really bad one-liners, and it was just a terrible movie. I'm very saddened by it. Number 3, Despicable Me 2. This movie was so cute. Not quite as good as the first one, but it was still very, very adorable and hilarious, and everyone should watch it. Number 2, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire. I loved this movie. It was so much better than the first one. It was really well done. There was just so much chemistry between the actors this time. The writing was so much better. They got so much from the book packed into the movie and it didn't feel crowded. They left out a few things, but I think they're things that they can touch on in the next one. But just Catching Fire was just perfect in every way. Perfect. Number 1, Iron Man 3. So disappointing because I hated this movie. I tried to like it. I went to see it twice, hoping that maybe the second time I would understand why people enjoyed it. But it didn't happen. I don't know. It's been so long since I saw it, so I'm not going to be able to remember all the points I hated about it. There were a lot of reasons why I didn't like it, but the main thing that I think has bothered me the whole time, that my sister actually pointed out to me because she's a scientist, is just this mad scientist trope that's in so many movies now, and it's really, really pretty terrible because if we're terrified of science in our pop culture, we're going to be terrified of science in real life. And then where are we going to go? Not to the final frontier, that's for sure. I had a lot of problems with Iron Man 3. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm very disappointed that it's number 1. I'm not going to lie. I'm very disappointed. That being said, there were some amazing movies out this year. Most of them in this video. If you haven't seen any of them, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Go watch some movies. You have seen some of them, but not all of them. Go watch all of them. Even the bad ones. I want you to understand how bad they are. Iron Man 3. I hope you all had a fantastic, or at least mildly tolerable 2013, and for everyone I hope 2014 is absolutely fantastic. Check out my blog, the link is in the description down below. I'll post some of the articles I've written about some of the movies I talked about in today's video, and don't forget, subscribe.